Man, this used to be so easy. Used to be able to just turn on a camera and talk about volleyball, but I'm admittedly a little bit out of practice. It's the beginning of January. I know if you are here and you're watching this, you've probably been a fan of Volleyball Source in the past, and you've probably maybe even messaged me, whether it's on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, what happened to the old channel. Uh, I will make a video about it soon. Um, don't really want to talk about it just yet because, to be honest, it still is a little bit upsetting. And yeah, if you're on our Discord chat, the Volleyball Source Discord chat, you've probably already heard about it. I've chatted a little bit about it on there. But yeah, to be honest, I wanted to restart the channel or build a new channel with that video, kind of explaining what happened and why everything just disappeared like that. But it's been hard to record. It's hard to talk about. And so I'm not going to just yet. And instead, I want to talk about something else that we've been talking about on the Discord. This topic came up somewhat casually about if there was a top 10 power ranking of all the teams in volleyball, the professional teams, who would be at number one, who would be at number two, and so on and so forth. Now, I'll have to tell you right away that in building this, I started at top 10 and it quickly increased to top 15 just because you're not talking about just one league or multiple conferences like we are in North American sports. We're talking about multiple leagues across, different countries, but they're all also competing intertwined in the Champions League. And I also found that if I just limited it to 10, we'd have a bunch of teams from Italy, a bunch of teams from Russia, maybe a handful of teams of Poland. No one really else would get a little bit of spotlight, and I'm sure some other leagues like France and Germany would level a little bit of time. On another note, if you are interested in joining our Discord, it's free and open to everyone. There's plenty of ways. If you go on the website, I believe you can just click on the link and it'll bring you to the Discord chat. And yeah, it's great. It's a good time. We've got people from all over the world, all across Canada, all around the world. Polish people, Italians, Finnish, Americans, of course. Plenty of Canadians from literally coast to coast. So it's a great place to just come and hang out and watch volleyball if you want. And yeah, so let's just kind of jump into it here. I'm going to start at number 15. As I said, I do have an honorable mention. To be honest, though, and at number 15, I have Monza Volley in Italy, and they are actually currently playing right now. I believe they are down 0-2 to Lube, but being down 0-2 to Lube is kind of expected. We're going to see them further up the list, of course. But Monza Volley currently 11-6 in the Superlega. They are currently sitting in fifth place, right behind Vibo. And now they've only played 17 matches, so they're kind of 2 points or 2 matches behind some of the teams ahead of them in the standings. So obviously they're going to be catching it up with today's match against Luby. But Monza is, 11-6. So it's been all right. They don't have any European competitions. However, they are one of only a handful of teams to beat Perugia this year. So they handed Perugia their first loss of the season, and since then Perugia lost twice to Lube and once to Trentino. So Monza was kind of the first team in that group. They've, as I said, that they're in no CEV competition. So I think they're one of the few teams, if not the only team on this list, that isn't competing in any way, shape, or form in the CEV, whether it's Champions League, CEV Cup, or the Challenge Cup. I don't think any teams are competing in the Challenge Cup in this one either. So yeah, Monza coming in at number 15. Now, I don't really have much to say about this team. They're a pretty good team. They got a feature Max Holt, or you got Adis Lagungia. I don't know if I pronounce his name, but the young Turkish opposite on the right side. They're overall pretty good. Do I see them really competing for anything in the Superlega? No, probably not. They're probably going to have a first round playoff series against Vibo, and we'll talk about Vibo a little bit later on because they've been a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, for me, coming in at number 15 is Monza. Just looking at my notes here, yeah, they're not going to be able to catch Trentino but they're only 4 points behind Vivo, and they've got 2 games ahead. So Monza is coming in at number 15. At number 14, I've got a team coming out of the Bundesliga, sitting at 11-2 in second place in the Bundesliga, and then at 2-1 in the Champions League. With a bit of a caveat, that one, well, we're going to have the Berlin Recycling Volleys. Berlin has, typically one of the top teams in Europe. We've seen them in the past make it all the way to the Final Four of the Champions League. This year, obviously, with the coronavirus and everything going on, a little bit different. They're not as strong. In fact, neither Berlin nor Friedrichshafen are going to be in the finals of the DVV Cup, and it's going to be the first time since a long, long time that neither of those two teams are going to win it in 20 plus years. So that one, the DVV Cup, the DVV Cup, or the German Cup, if you will, is going on later this month, early February. Regardless, we'll have you up. But yeah, first time in a long time that neither Berlin nor Friedrichshafen are going to be playing that match. In that match and have an opportunity to win it. So that's going to be big. But still, Berlin coming in at number 15. They're still, or 14. They're still second in the Bundesliga. Did suffer a loss earlier in the year to Friedrichshafen. And 2-1 in the Champions League. Although they did only score the one win over Ljubljana because the other team in their pool, Fenerbahce from Poland, did not compete in the Champions League because of coronavirus. So because of coronavirus, they weren't able to participate, and they went 0-3, and thus all 3 of those teams got a win. So Berlin kind of coming in, they're second in the Bundesliga, so I figure they need to be there. They're typically I'd always say they're kind of in that top 15 team range, maybe a little bit lower than we normally see them. I'd usually tend to put them closer to the top 10, but just haven't really seen much from Ben Patch and Cody Kessel and the boys. We do have a bit of Canadian connection there with Robin Baghdadi, formerly of the Brandon Bobcats, playing his first season with Berlin. Next, we're going to be moving up to a team from the Plus Liga. At 13, I have Warsaw, Verva Warsaw. And now this team is coming in at... I must have written this down wrong because I've got 21-7, but it has to be 12-7 because there's no way they've played 28 plus matches. But yeah, 12-7 for Warsaw, 2-1 in the Champions League. And now this is a team that they're a very young team, and they're not very young. They're a young team, got full of talent. Arthur Schaupuk, Bartosz Kwolek, many others, and they're led by Andreas Anastasi. So I think on paper they should be the team that competes against Zaxa, but they're just really not getting it done. They did score a pretty good win recently against Fenerbahce, which is a big one for them. That's going to help them move up the standings, but they are in a tough battle right now between kind of the 3rd all the way to the 8th place teams. There's a big pack right in the middle. You know what? Probably wouldn't be on this list much like the next team if it wasn't for their 2-1 result at Champions League. Now they got the direct bid into Champions League based off their performance from last year. Much different team, much different roster altogether, different coach, everything than last year for Warsaw. And yeah, it just hasn't really been coming together for me. I'm still interested to see because I think as I said, it's a younger team, so they have that ability to progress throughout the year. But we're getting pretty late in the season. But still, 2-1 in Champions League. They beat Kuzbass, which anytime you can beat the Russian, the reigning Russian champion and team that has Ivan Zaitsev on it, that's going to be a pretty good win. And lost to Modena, who actually is Ardek's team in 12th place. And now Modena, sorry for Tommy Blizzard and all the others on the Discord chat. Honestly, at 9-9 and really fighting to be even in the playoff picture in the Superliga, I didn't really consider about having them on based off their Superliga play, but going 3-0 in the Champions League, I just couldn't have them go 3-0 Champions League and then not have them in kind of this area. You've got other teams, further up who have lesser records. But yeah, Modena 3-0 in Champions League, 9-9 in the Superliga. So it's been a tough year for Modena. They just don't have the firepower. Sure, you have Benahov. Yes, you have Michael Christensen. So those first 2 touches are taken care of. but then they just don't have the firepower to, even go up against the teams like Monza and Vibo on the outside, let alone the big teams like Lube and Perugia. So that's why these 3 wins at Champions League was pretty big for them. So it really puts them in a good position for Modena. But still, 9-9 in the Superliga, like it's tough. You can't really. It's hard to give them a top 15 position in all of volleyball when they're not even in the top 5 in the Superliga. But still 3-0 in the Champions League, you got to give it to them. So, yeah, we'll see what Modena can do kind of leading forward into the Champions League and what we have as we continue going forward. Now, that is kind of these first four teams are all kind of maybe the wishy-washy teams. Teams that I thought needed to be included, and kind of why we had that 10 to 15 range. But coming in at number 11 is going to be one that, if you haven't been following volleyball recently, you'll be very surprised to see how low they are. But that's Zenit Kazan. They're coming in, and they have been absolutely atrocious of late. And it's almost like you had a luxury vehicle. You had a Rolls Royce and it was just rolling. You had a Tesla just rolling down the road, and all of the wheels fell off. And then after the wheels fell off, you as the driver or the car, whoever you want to put the coach as, starts yelling at one of the wheels for being disgusting. Because that's literally what's happening in Zenit Kazan. They are 1-6 in their last 7. Lost in the semifinals of the Russian Cup earlier in December, and last week they just lost 2 in a row to Dynamo Moscow. And Moscow didn't even have Sokolov. They didn't even have their their right side player. Things are just not going well. Engapeth and Bartosz Bednors are both. Neither of them are having a great time with Zenit Kazan right now. And Alekno has gone out so far out in the media to say that Bednors' play has been disgusting, which is a little crazy. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. But when you are Zenit Kazan and you are 13-6, I can't remember Zenit Kazan losing 6 games in the past however many years, and they're 1-6 in their past games, and it just doesn't get any easier for them coming up either. So I think other teams in their pool at Champions League, I believe that's going to be Berlin, Kashepci Weiskol, and Ljubljana out of Slovenia, are all going to be smelling blood. Now, I do want to say that just because I have Zenit Kazan at 11, do I think that teams maybe, in the 9, 10, 8 spot have the ability to beat them in a head-to-head matchup? Probably not. I'm not going to say that, but this is a power ranking. This is kind of who's playing well right now. And to be perfectly honest, if I could put this next team any lower, I would, given the fact that they just fired their head coach, even though they're currently in second place of the Plusliga. But Kashepci Weiskol 14-5 in the Plusliga, 0-3 in the Champions League. You have to remember that they did have to qualify, so they do have a few more Champions League wins than that, but I didn't really count round 1 and 2 wins into this. 0-3 in the Champions League, however, because they didn't participate. They weren't there. They couldn't because of coronavirus or COVID-19, whatever you guys want to call it these days. But they do have a 2-3 record so far in 2021, losing games to like Stal Nisa, who is kind of a popular team to lose to these days. They're kind of getting better. Losing to Warsaw yesterday, losing to Olsztyn, and so they decided to let Luke Reynolds go. Luke Reynolds, Australian guy, used to also coach at Berlin, but also spent some time coaching here in Canada with Brandon. So we're sorry to see Luke go. Definitely a few of us on the chat are questioning that one. But hey, that's what happens in Poland. If you're not competing up to the level that the club wants you to, you're probably going to get the ass, especially with a legendary club like JW. Still, though, I don't know how much more you want him to do, right? You are in second place right now, and you haven't been able to really compete at the Champions League. So tough spot there for Luke Reynolds to be in. No, he's probably going to be bouncing back, but yeah, interesting kind of notes there by Kashepci Weiskol. I probably would have had them lower if I had made this list today, but I already made the list yesterday, and I wasn't really about to change it and go through all of the headache to do all of that. Moving into number 9, I have the lone French team on this list, and that's going to be Montpellier. And Montpellier scored a big win earlier this past week, as we're catching up with the first half as we're getting ready to start the second half of the French season in the LNV. And Montpellier started the year rocky, 0-2, 2 straight losses, and has not lost since then. Their last loss was on, where did I have that? October 13th to Toulouse. They're currently on the second longest win streak in all of European volleyball at 16 games, including the LNV and the CEV Cup, which they have qualified all the way to the semifinals for. So Montpellier is currently at the top of the LNV, and that win really created a bit of separation. I believe like Toulouse and Cannes and maybe one other team, I can't remember who, are at 4 losses, and Montpellier has really just kind of created a bit of separation on there. Great news for Canadian fans there. Ryan Sclater is really running that squad, and Danny Demyanenko, he was actually the MVP, led Montpellier in scoring in their last outing against Cannes. So 2 Canadians have been not only contributing, but huge parts of what Montpellier has been doing over in France. So as I said, 13-2 currently in the LNV. I forget who they play this week, but it's a pretty big matchup, I feel like. One thing to note, though, is that all of the LNV games are now free. So you have to create an account, but if you go to lnvtv.com, you can go and watch all the matches from France live and on demand, all of their leagues too. So if you want to watch any of the other Canadians, any other Americans, Finns, whoever else, you can find it there. It's been a great resource. So yeah, Montpellier coming in at 9, as I said, second longest win streak in all of Europe at the moment at 16 games. Last loss on October 13th, which is absolute insanity, especially when they started the season 0-2, and that's a little bit rocky, but coming back together now, 13-3 since then. They're in the CEV Cup semifinals. They're going to have to play Dynamo Moscow, which we're going to see a little bit on that list, a little bit further on the list, but still, pretty good season put together right now by Montpellier, and watching Ryan Sclater just kind of dominate has been a lot of fun. And Danny Demyanenko too, he's really starting to come into his own, and we'll have to see what kind of comes into the future for that team. I'm really excited to see what they can do. Maybe not at the CEV Cup level, because Dynamo Moscow is pretty legit, as we're going to see later on in this list, but definitely in the LNV. They're definitely my favorites to take everything right now. Both Canadian bias and just because of what they've been doing on the court. All right, now moving on to number 8. We've got the second team here from the Bundesliga, and that is going to be Friedrichshafen. Now, for me, it's pretty astonishing that they're even on this list, considering that they don't have a gym to play at. If you're a fan of the Out of System podcast and all the Hawaii boys are doing, you'll hear that Joe Worsley talked about how the German government just did or I don't know if it was like local government. Anyway, someone did like an audit of the building that they played in their gym, and they had to tear it down. And so within a week, the whole thing was torn down, and they have to play in Stuttgart, train and play in Stuttgart, which isn't that close to Friedrichshafen. So it's really been, on top of all the coronavirus and COVID-19 and all of that crap that they have to deal with, they have to deal with the added thing of not having a gym. So the fact that Friedrichshafen is 11-1, they've only got 1 loss in the Bundesliga, and that came to Düren earlier in the season, is pretty astonishing. And I think it has to really it says a lot about that club and the way that they're able to stay strong. They are 2-1 in the Champions League as well. They were in that pool with Trentino, lost to Trentino, however, beat both Novosibirsk and the other team. I can't remember who they are. Still 2-1 in the Champions League. Really good job by Friedrichshafen to not only stay at top of the Bundesliga, but also stay relevant in the Champions League despite everything else that's going on this year. I had something else to add, and it just jumped out of my head. It was just pertaining to the DVV Cup, that they will not be in the German Cup finals for the first time in a long, long time. All right, now moving forward to the 7th spot, and now you'll see that it is we haven't really seen We've only seen one team from Russia, one team from Italy, or two teams from Italy so far. And now we're going to see quite a bit more. So coming in at number 7, I do have Zenit St. Petersburg, 13-4, currently second in the Superliga. Also, what is up with Europeans? It's Superliga in Italy. It's the Superliga, LI in France or Russia. Plus Liga, which is basically this plus league in Poland. Like, hey guys, can we come up with some better names? Something. Just a thought. I don't know. But yeah, Zenit St. Petersburg coming in at 7th. Now this is a team definitely that I thought about putting higher, and I may regret not putting higher, but you'll see what's coming up. Like it's pretty tough. But Zenit St. Petersburg 10-1 in their last 11 matches, and the only loss that they have is that 17-15 heartbreak to Moscow in the Russian Cup finals. For so long they've been that other Zenit, and there's been a few times when they look like they've been able to break out, but just haven't been able to do it for a long time. But with Kazan diving the way they are, and St. Petersburg kind of on the way up, is there a chance to kind of make that switch? Is St. Petersburg going to become the more dominant Zenit? Well, luckily we get to know, because on Saturday they play each other on the 25th. No, it's not Saturday. Maybe it's the 23rd. I think it's actually Saturday the 23rd. They play each other. So you're going to want to check that out, because I really want to see how Zenit Kazan responds to getting slapped around like they did it by Moscow, and then getting slapped around by Alekno in the press, which doesn't really happen in volleyball, except in like Poland and in Russia, maybe a little bit in Italy. So I love a good press smack talk. Plus it's Alekno too. You can't really, like if Doc Rivers is going to slap someone in the press, like, you going to clap back? No, not really. You're kind of just going to take it because he's Doc Rivers and it's Vladimir Alekno. Like, he's done what he's done. I, challenge anyone to have the resume that Alekno's had. So Alekno, But we're going to go back to St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg is a monster team. So it's going to be interesting to see how they compete against the other top teams. To me, there's really 4 top teams in Russia, and then there's a huge gap after that. Getting into the next team in Russia at 14-3, they are currently actually in first place in the Superliga based off points. However, a 1-2 record of the Champions League, and the fact that they, didn't win the Russian Cup, and the only team coming up to win, or the only team coming up did, kind of knocked it down for me. So for me, Kuzbas Kemerovo is at number 6. Of course, Kuzbas featuring Ivan Zaitsev. And you know what? 14-3 in the Superliga is not bad. They beat Zenit Kazan, but they recently have a win over Zenit Kazan. However, they have lost to Moscow and a couple of other losses. We did talk about how they are 1-2 in the Champions League, and now, in my opinion, they should be 3-0. They really, really should be leading that pool, but they're not, and instead Modena is, and they have to play catch up now. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Kuzbas answers in the next round of Champions League, but also answers kind of as everything's just being tossed and turned with how Zenit has been plummeting right now. That first spot in the league is really up for the taking, and Kuzbas could be the team that goes for it. They've got the talent. Now, moving on to number 5. I'm probably going to get some hate for putting this team as low as I have. However, let me break it down. At number 5, I'm going to put Perugia. Yep, Societe Perugia with the best player on the team. If you had a equivalent for them in the NBA, it's probably the Lakers, because like Leon is LeBron. It's a pretty obvious comparison, and you know what? They're just kind of expected to dominate. And there was definitely a point in the season where I didn't think Perugia was going to be able to lose a match. I really didn't. They were looking that good. However, things have kind of been getting going. But I think, we saw this. Like, if we want to use the Lakers comparison, we see this with the Lakers as well in the regular season. is that it gets a little bit long, it gets a little bit tiresome. It's especially difficult this year with the coronavirus and everything going on. So they have lost three regular season games. One of them being to Monza, we talked a little bit about earlier. They lost to Lube in the regular season, and they just recently lost to Trentino as well, although everyone has. They also lost to Lube in the Champions League. So they're 2-1 against Lube this year after beating them in the Supercopa final, but 0-2 in the past two. So that's to me why I can't put Lube behind Perugia right now because they have a better record against them. And yeah, I do think that Perugia is a team that can not only win the Champions League but win the Superliga, win everything. They are that good. One thing to note about Perugia, if you're a Canadian fan, you'll probably know that Siobhan Vernon Evans is technically on the team. However, we have not seen a lot of him. We have seen very little, mostly coming off the bench. And that's not really something I want to get into this video. I think that there's a lot of reasons for that, but I just, I've definitely been getting some messages on various social media asking me what's wrong with Siobhan. And I just want to say I haven't spoke to him. I know I haven't talked to him about any of this, but I don't think, sure, it sucks that he's not playing, but I don't think that there's that much cause for concern if you're like thinking about the longevity of his career and stuff like that. But it's just not something I really want to get into in this video because I think it's a whole video's worth of what I think is going on and what could be happening and kind of what looking forward. But yeah, it has somewhat been frustrating to see very, very little of him, knowing what kind of top end he has. But still, I think you also can look at it from the lens of that he is in the gym every single day with some of the best players in the world and going to toe with guys like Leon. So even if he's not on the court, he's definitely still getting some positive touches and still improving every single day. But Perugia coming in at 5, as I said, they've lost some games recently, come back to earth a little bit. I still think they're quite possibly have the ability to be the best team in the world, just not right now. They're just not at that level, and they don't need to be right now at that level. Moving forward into number 4, if Perugia is the Lakers, then number 4, Lube, is the Brooklyn Nets, where it's basically just a bunch of friends, a bunch of superstar friends who decided to come together to team up to go against the best player in the world. That's exactly what's happening in Lube, except without all the moody drama. It seems more like the Lube guys are more the fun time squad. And I mean, how could you not be? You've got 3 Cubans and an Argentinian, not to mention Friedrichshafen, on that squad, and you just know that they have a good time. You can tell by maybe the lackadaisical way that they approach matches. They're kind of there to have a good time. Checo is gonna throw up some one-handed sets that go kind of wild, and that's fine for them. But you know that at the end of the day, all of these guys are champions, and all of these guys know their role. And that once we get into playoffs, once we get into Champions League, this team has the ability to turn on and basically beat anyone. And I mean, when you have Juan Simon, and Leal, yeah, and not to mention the Checo setting, that's pretty disgusting. The only thing I might say about them is that their potential lack of depth. Yeah, they have Hadrava, the Czech opposite on the backup on the right side, and they do have Marlon Yant, who is the young Cuban on the outside, but we haven't seen a lot of him. So I just don't know how Lube is going to stack up against the more organized teams like Trentino. They just lost to Trentino, or the more organized teams like if they ever face a Zaxa or a Dynamo Moscow. They're somewhat undisciplined at times, but almost as to be expected. When you're that athletic and that physical, I feel like discipline is going to come into effect once in a while. But yeah, Lube. Also, one thing to note for Lube is that they are 3-0 in the Champions League, having topped their pool so far. So that is a big thing for Lube. Now, before we move on into the top 3, I think that there's 2 teams that I want to give an honorable mention to. One of them being Vibo Valencia in Italy, and of course, this is a team that won only a handful of games last year, and everyone kind of expected to be at the bottom. And until recently, they've been one of the top teams. They've come back to earth a little bit recently with a few losses, most notably this week's to Monza. In fact, when I was first doing drafts of this list, they were in 15 until Monza beat them. So that's kind of the story. But man, Vibo has been so much fun to watch this year. They're really gritty. They've got TJ DeFalco. Thibaut Hassard has been having an absolute season for them. And yeah, they're just a really fun team to watch. You know, another team that isn't competing in the Champions League. And as I said, they're going to be in the 15th spot, but Monza had just beat them. Monza's right behind them in the standings and has, 2 games ahead of them. So I had to put Monza in that spot over Vibo. It's just what it is. And the other team is Fenerbahce. Fenerbahce is the top team coming out of Turkey right now. And I've been watching a lot more Turkish volleyball this year because there's way more Canadians. Fenerbahce contains both Graham Viagras and Nick Hogue, but you've also got Jay Blankino, who is of course running the show down at Arkas Izmir as well. But there's the Turkish league has been a lot easier to watch this year, so I've been watching a lot more. And to be perfectly honest, this morning when I was thinking about it, I was thinking that I left out a few Turkish teams here because in my head, I don't necessarily put the Turkish volleyball in that like second tier of top groups with the Germanys and the France, but I really should. And I think that I should almost even put them higher than those two, because maybe if the bottom end of the Turkish league isn't as good as some of those places, the top end of Turkish volleyball is really, really strong. Not to mention they have more open foreigner rules, so that they've got some really good foreigners in that Turkish league. So I think that if there's one thing I would change moving forward is have more Turkish teams here, especially in this top 15. The fact that I don't have Fenerbahce here is probably an issue. We'll rectify it next time we do this. But yeah, those are kind of my two honorable mentions would be Vibo and Fenerbahce. Now, moving on to my top 3. I'm going to have one team from each representative of the leagues. I didn't try to do this. This isn't like a U Sports scenario where like, we have to have 1, 2, 3 be the 3 different. No. It was really just based off of their results against other teams. Coming in at 3 for me right now is Dynamo Moscow. Now, Moscow has kind of been a quieter team. They're not in the Champions League, and the reason they're not in the Champions League is because they lost to Trentino in that second round, that last match of second round qualifying. It was either them or Trentino. Dynamo Moscow was out the services Svetsan Sokolov without their best player, and they lost to Trentino. And so that to me is why I give them that okay. And as we mentioned earlier, they've made it all the way to the semifinals of the CEV Cup. They've got to play against Montpellier in some time. But they are currently 13-1 in the Superliga. They are the defending. They are the Russian Cup champs for the season after beating Moscow in December, and have come off back-to-back wins over Zenit Kazan. So other than that one loss to Trentino and that one loss in regular season play, Moscow has been rolling. And I think it's even more impressive that they've won this week's match without Sokolov, because Sokolov was with the Bulgarian national team for European Championship qualifying. So the fact that Moscow was able to get it done without their backup or without their starting like superstar opposite against Zenit Kazan says huge about how that team is operating right now and the level that they're competing at. The level that they're executing their game plan at too, because when you watch them play, they don't really have that one player that sticks out, but they're just very, very solid. And I think that's what, for me, is the distinctive factors of the 3 teams that are in the top place right now. So I think Dynamo Moscow has a really, really good shot of defeating, of not only winning, of winning the Russian league, and then, of course, winning the CEV Cup. It's going to be difficult. They have to play Montpellier, but then they also have to play St. Petersburg potentially in the final of the Russian Cup. The St. Petersburg is in the other side of the semifinals for not the Russian Cup, but the CEV Cup. I apologize. But yeah, Dynamo Moscow coming in at 3. I think that they're a very, very good team and that they have been absolutely on fire recently. 13-1 in the Superliga, like that's pretty damn good. Yeah, the Russian Superliga, not the Italian Superlega. There's a difference apparently. Now, finally, at number 2, this is a team that started the season at 3-5, and we are wondering, is Lucarelli crap? Is he only good when he's playing in Brazil and for Brazil? Because there was a point in the season where Trentino was 3-5. This was on November 25th. They had lost to Vibo in the regular season, and they did not have Giannelli or their backup setters heading into Champions League. And this was a point where it was like, are we going to see the demise of Trentino? One of the most legendary clubs. Like, imagine if Trentino and Zenit Kazan had both nosedived in the same season. Yo, that'd be crazy. But no, Trentino, if you're a volleyball fan, you know what has happened. Since then, they have been on an absolute tear. The third longest win streak in volleyball right now at 14-0, 11-0 in Superliga, because after losing to Vivo, they figured it all out with their with the guy who's leading scoring in the Superliga setting for them in the Champions League. They went 3-0, and now they're on a massive win streak. They've beat Lube, they've beat Perugia, they've beat all the teams that beat them in the first round, and right now they are the team to beat. And not to mention what's even more impressive, yes, they did that at some points without their starting setter, but they also done it at points without their starting left side as well in Dick Coy. So you have the three outsides of Dick Coy, Lucarelli, and now the young lefty who's like 6'7", lefty Micheletto, only 18 years old, who's just been absolutely nasty for them. He doesn't do anything special. He passes the ball really, really well. He plays the first contact really, really well, and then he scores simple points. He doesn't try to do anything over the top, but I feel like when Giannelli is just laying that ball up for you and just giving you a perfect position, and everyone's expecting Demir to get the ball, you're going to have some good swings. So Trentino went from a team that was worrying everyone, is like, what are they going to do, to being a team that is one of the hottest in volleyball right now, maybe the hottest in volleyball right now. Because I wouldn't necessarily say that the team in the first spot is on a hot streak. They've just been absolutely dominant. But still, Trentino, at the beginning of the season, I would have 100% told you it's going to be Lube versus Perugia in the finals, and that's going to be it. And because no other team can touch them. And I mean, if you told me that Lube or Trentino might not make the playoffs at the beginning of the season, I might have believed you. I really might have. They were looking bad. They couldn't find any scoring, and this was even before Giannelli got sick, right? I mean, this was a team that was 3-4 before their starting setter got sick. But they've just really been able to figure it out. And I think Lucarelli has really been that big piece. He wasn't scoring as well before, but he's really come into his own, and he's just opening things up enough for Namir to go off. But man, Trentino is a team that just plays that chess match maybe better than anyone else right now. And they are a very, very... You can tell that they're playing with a lot of confidence, and they're playing together as a group, and I think that's so dangerous, because that's a group that's gone through a tough time together and is really bonded together, and I think that's what could be the mark of a good team later on in the season. So yeah, that's why I think Trentino is the second, hottest team right now in volleyball. And now, finally, before we release the last one, I mean, you all probably, if you're watching this, you probably know who it is. It's Zaksa Kazakhstan Kozhna. They've yet to lose a match this year. 19-0 in Plus Liga, 3-0 in the Champions League. What can you say? Now, I know a lot of people, there's a few people on the chat who have talked about, maybe the Plus Liga isn't as strong as, either of the two other top leagues in Italy and Russia, and I kind of agree. That's why there's such a big mix between first and second here. And the fact that maybe their Champions League pool isn't the hardest one. Like Skra, Fenerbahce, and who's the other team? I can't remember. I don't remember, but it's not the strongest pool either for them in the Champions League. However, even the top teams have lost. Right? There's no other undefeated team in volleyball. Even the top teams have lost to middle-of-the-pack teams. So the fact that Zaksa has been able to go 22-0 so far this season, someone needs to knock them off the perch for them to lose it. You know what I mean? Like, they have to lose a game in Plus Liga. They have to lose a game in the Champions League to lose this top spot, in my opinion. But right now, they're just playing at such a high level. And, we talked about how both Moscow and Trentino work well as a unit. And, man, Zaxa does it so, so well. And to me, it's always, you got to bring it down to the setters. And Ben Togniotti is one of the best. You've got really, there's so much I could say about every player on their roster. You've got the three outsides of, why can't I? Semeniuk and Slika and Kaczmarek. And, you've got Slika, who's just he's so smooth and so slippery, and you just don't know what he's going to pull out of his pockets. He's a lefty, too. It's always dangerous. Semeniuk is a little bit stronger. He's going to bang a few balls. And then you got Kaczmarek on the right side, who's just an absolute beast. And the three of them just control the outside of the court so, so well. But then you have Kokonowski, who, if you know me, he's one of my favorite middles in the world, and David Smith. And I think that as a middle pairing, they might be the most effective middle pairing in the world. As the two of them, they might be the best middle pairing in the world. I don't know if maybe Lube, but even then, And finally, you've got Paweł Zatorsky finishing it all off as a lib. So, we talked in Modena how they have those first two touches with Grebennikov and Micah Christensen. It's just as good in Zatorsky, and the cannons that they have around and the way the systems and the efficiency that they use within their team is really, really good. That block defense that Zax employs is so frustrating because they set it up so, so well. They're gonna slow down that ball. They're gonna get a touch, and then they're gonna hit you with a really, really fast and really powerful transition. And it's gonna be really hard to beat Zaxa. I'm really excited. I really want to see Zaxa play one of the big Italian teams, preferably Lube or Perugia, because I want to see the two styles. But seeing that chess match of Zaxa against a Trentino or a Dynamo Moscow, man, that would be great. But yeah, I think that's it for my top 15 currently in the world of men's volleyball. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I don't know. I kind of just decided to do this because it's been a while since I've recorded anything, and I've been feeling like I needed to do something. It felt like I needed to be productive and put out some content and try to rebuild the channel again. But yeah, guys, let me know whether it's on social media, whether it's on the Discord chat. If you want to join the Discord chat, just hit us up on social media or head over to the website at volleyballsource.ca to join. It's free. It's open. Anyone's welcome, except if you're, a shithead. Don't come in and start talking shit to everyone. Don't come in being racist. Don't come in being sexist or anything like that. Just come in and love volleyball and chat and have a good time. We'd love, if you're from another country, we'd love to have some insights. I think some of the best things about our Discord chat is the fact that the Italian guys will give us little insights on Italian culture, whether it's, little geopolitical history facts they're talking about, tortellini, whatever it is, while we're all, chatting about volleyball. So it's a great time. Come join us on the Discord, and let me know what else you want to hear about as I just talk to my computer. And I need to end this now because I have nothing else to say. All right, thanks a lot, guys. We will catch you next time, and peace.